Hey, it's Jake from GeoTargetly, and in this tutorial I will be showing you how to implement our feature called GeoContent. What is GeoContent, you ask? Let's take a look at the product page, but GeoContent is a feature that allows you to display different content of your website based on the location of where your visitors are coming from. In other words, our most common use case probably is for our visitors for our customers to be, for example, changing their telephone number on their site or other contact information such as their branch address based on where visitors are coming from, because they might want to display different contact information to visitors from US versus visitors from Canada, and so on and so forth. If you're interested more about how the feature work, what are the use cases, you can check it out over here in the product page. But without further ado, let's take a look at how to set up GeoContent. And in order to set up GeoContent, you will need a GeoTargetly account. If you already have one, just log in. If you do not have one, just start a free trial with GeoTargetly by clicking any of these try 14 days free buttons on our page. And we do not require any credit card for you to start the trial. And also during the trial, there are no limitations and you have access to all of our features, which, if you ask me, is a pretty good deal to try it out. Once you get into GeoTargetly, this is how the app is going to look like. And basically, in order to add GeoContent to your site, you either click over here into the sidebar or just click Add to Site under GeoContent in the product dashboard. So that's what I'll do. First up, you will need to select which page or which pages you want to run GeoContent on. And for this purpose, what we will be doing is we will be implementing it on the GeoTargetly page. So I'll just use the first option here, which is use GeoContent on all pages of a website, and I'll just type geotargetly.com. Cool. Apart from running it on all web pages, you might not want to do that because you know that, for example, your contact information is featured on just some pages, but but we thought of that, and there are other ways to kind of select the pages that you want to run the code on, and you can select just selected pages or just a single selected page. If you select just a specific page, you need to provide the full URL over here. The code will not trigger on any other pages, even though it might be implemented there. And for this selection of selected pages, in the second step of the setup, you can specify which pages it should run on and which it shouldn't. Cool. So let's just keep it on run on all pages because that's the simplest for now. And then you will need to select one of the 4 modes that GeoContent is running in. The first 2 modes are for changing the bigger content blocks, such as our whole paragraphs, or you might show a different, I don't know, bar or an image on your site. Whereas the last 2 modes, hiding content and changing specific text, are for smaller changes, and I will be going through all of them. So let's start with the first one, with the change content that you enter here using our inbuilt HTML editor in GeoTargetly. I'm going to keep this checked, and let's just go with 1 content block for right now, and I'll show you what the second or 2 or more content blocks do. So let's go to the next step, and on the next step, what you can see over here is that you need to define location segments. So basically, you need to tell GeoTargetly what criteria needs to be met for your visitors to see different content. And if we click on Add Location Rule, you can see that there are different ways to target your visitors via GeoTargetly. You can either select countries, you can select states, such as states in US or provinces in Canada. You can select cities or a point on a map and a radius around it. For GeoContent, we also offer browser language targeting, which is great for countries in which there are more than 1 language that gets spoken, such as Canada, French and English, or Switzerland, and so on. Or you can select to trigger the code for certain IP addresses or IP address ranges. Let's just go with country targeting for now, because that's the simplest and also the most precise one. And for the first location, we will just do United States, and we can rename the segment to US. And then for our second segment, which I added just by clicking this button or this button over here, or you can also duplicate a segment, you will just do CA as a name, and as a country, let's do Canada. Then we need to switch to content editor, and in the content editor we need to provide the content that should be rendered. So you're entering the content via the built-in content editor, as we saw in the first step. So for Canada, let's just mock it up as CA phone number, because what I am trying to show you is how you would display a different contact information based on visitor, and for US we'll just mock it up as US phone number. Perfect. Let's leave everything as it is, the rest of the stuff as it is. Let's go to the next step. Let's not worry about the advanced settings right now. I'll walk you through them later in the video. And on the next step, we just need to hit save in order for the tracking code to be generated. And basically you can see that there were two tracking codes generated. First tracking code is the one that handles the change, and this needs to be implemented on the site that you want to run the changes or trigger the changes on. And the second one is the content block within which the content that you implemented or inputted in step 2 will be rendered on your site. So let's take a look into how to implement them. For the first one, I'll just copy it, and I'll show you how to implement it for Webflow, because that's the CMS that we currently use, but we have detailed instruction on all of the other CMSs as well. I'll show you them in the resources towards the end of the video as well. Cool, so let's just once again copy this. I'm not sure if I already did it. And in Webflow there are two ways of implementing this. You can either implement it site-wide by clicking Site Settings and in the left sidebar the custom code, and then you need to check where to put it. For GeoContent specifically, you want to put it before the closing body tag, so that would be over here in the footer code. But what I'm going to do is I don't want to implement this site-wide. I want to just implement it on a specific page. This is the page, so I went into the designer, and over here I'll click the cogwheel. Sorry, let me just minimize this. And once again, before the closing body tag, I'll implement it here. Cool, so now I have the tracking code implemented, but then I need to implement the content blocks in which the content should be rendered. So I'll just hit save here, and let's just add a new section over here. I'll choose code embed because that's the simplest one for me right now. And what I need to do is go back into GeoTargetly, and over here I need to grab this code, implement it into the site. And as if you read this, basically what you can see is that there can be a default that GeoTargetly reverts to, either if a location segment is not met, or if GeoTargetly fails to provide an information on the visitor location, so that there's a failsafe. So let's just go for, instead of CA or US, let's just do default phone number. Now I'll save and close it, and then I need to publish this to production so that both the tracking code and the new code embed is published. So I'll just hit publish over here, and let me pause the video so that you don't need to watch me watch loaders spin. Cool, couple minutes later and we're in production. What that means is that we can take a look. So let's just navigate to the page that I implemented it for, which is this one. And if I scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see that now it says default phone number. This is due to the fact that I'm currently in Czech Republic. Therefore, I should not be seeing different content because we only defined location segments for US and Canada. So I'm getting the fallback. That's correct. Now, the easiest way for me to showcase a different location is to use a VPN. So let's just use a VPN to simulate the location in Canada. But I'll walk you through our built-in way to test in a minute. So this is Canada, and if I refresh the page for Canada, you can see that if I scroll all the way to the bottom, once again, I'm getting the CA phone number. And finally, if I simulate US to round it out, if I refresh the page, and sorry, this is due to the VPN change, not due to GeoTargetly, you can see that now it says US. So we successfully implemented GeoContent, or its first mode, which is inputting code directly into application. One more thing, or two more things that I wanted to show you is, you might have noticed over here in locations that there's a segment called all other locations. It's off by default, but I can turn it on. And in the content editor, I can also provide specific content to be handled here. So let's just say ROW here, which is the rest of the world. If I save the setup now, and if I return to the page, and if I turn off the VPN, if I refresh this, I'm getting the ROW here because I'm falling into the all other location segment as I'm in Czech Republic. But should GeoTargetly fail to provide your page with a location, it will default to the default phone number so that there's a fallback. Another thing that I wanted to show you is that in the first step, as I mentioned previously, there's this number of content blocks option. If I input 2, what I can do for each segment is I can select, sorry, let me just copy this. I can provide content for second content block, third content block, and let's just say that I would like to show address here. So basically, if I save this now, sorry about that, or let me try and save on the next page. Sorry, this sometimes happens when there's the VPN changes involved mid setup. So basically what that would do, it would generate a second content block, as you can see over here. And the second content block, I would once again implement it into the site, and I can change the two content blocks kind of individually or put them into two different places because, for example, you might want to change the telephone number in the header, but the address in the footer, and so on. And then brings us to the end of the first mode, which is the built-in HTML editor, but it might be more convenient for you to change the content not inside GeoTargetly but inside your CMS, and that's actually the most common way that people use GeoContent. In order to do that, you just need to switch to this option. And now you'll see the difference, which is you no longer enter the content in GeoTargetly, but these smart wrappers are generated for you and you need to implement them in the site. So once again, if I hit save right now, I need to get all of these content blocks and put them into the site. I will be using the code embed over here once again because that's the simplest for me, but the biggest benefit of using it this way is, is that you can take existing content and wrap that content within a span with the correct class. Basically, just wrap it into this, and you can do all of the changes in the CMS, and it's just wrapped in a span. So that's simpler, and if it's easier for you to change content via your CMS, I definitely recommend this option. So let's say that for the first option, it was US. Then for the second one, it was Canada, and for the third one, let's just not bother with the third one. Let's just turn it off over here, and this is the Canadian one. So we're here, and we can say CA. Right on. Now I'll just hit save and close, and you can see that there's no fallback here because we haven't defined the rest of the world segment. So if I'll just go with publish, in a minute I'll show you how it works. And we're back. Cool. So if I go back to this site, currently in Czech Republic, so I shouldn't be seeing anything, which is correct because we haven't defined the segment for the Czech Republic. But if I go for USA once again, and if I hit refresh, I should be getting, sorry, once again, VPN, not GeoTargetly. I should be getting the content for the US, which you can see I'm getting the US phone number. Once again, the first and the second option of GeoContent gets the same job done. It just depends on what's more convenient for you, where you want to make the content changes, whether it's inside our application or inside your CMS. Perfect. We're already halfway done. So we can take a look at the third option to run GeoContent, which is the hide existing elements of your page. And let's do it a bit differently. This time, let's not change the content inside Webflow, but let's look up an existing element that we want to hide. So for example, as I was saying, you might want to use GeoContent to hide contact information for certain countries. For example, if you have a support line number on your page, but you offer support only for US customers, you might want to hide that element hide that element for visitors coming from different locations. So in order to determine, or let's start in the application. I already changed it over here. We're still running it on the same page, and what's good about this option is that you do not need to implement the tracking code anew. So the tracking code on step 4 will not get changed, but as you can see, there will be no new code that needs to be implemented. And in order to select the elements that we want to hide the content in, you just need to click on content hiding, and you need to look up either IDs or classes of your page. So if we go into the page again, and let's say if this is a good candidate, oh sorry, what I did is I second click and then did inspect, or you go through developer tools and elements. Over here, we need to find the element that we want to hide. So what's happening here is I just am trying to locate the the address, and this is the address. So it's the class is LND footer text, but let's say if yeah, the problem here is that it has the same class as the other option, so it would be hiding multiple things. So maybe what I would need to do here is I would need to add this a unique class in the CMS. So maybe a better candidate would be one of the drop downs over here. So if I select the drop down, you can see that the ID of the drop down is W drop down toggle 2. And I know that this is unique because the other ones are called W drop down toggle 1 and so on. So if I go back into GeoTarget list, so for US customers, I wanna, and that was a ID, I guess. Yes, it was an ID. So let's hide this one, toggle 2, and for US, let's hide the toggle 1. If I save this now, basically what should be happening is if I go into the page again, I can close this and let's go to all the way to the top. You can see that I'm seeing all the drop downs, but if I switch my location to US, and if I refresh this, once again, sorry about that, you can see that I no longer see resources over here. And if I switch to Canada, and let's refresh once again, I shouldn't be seeing, I believe, the free tools. Yes, you can see that I'm seeing resources, but I'm not seeing the free tools. In other words, what GeoContent does, it says, okay, there is an element, but I'm setting its display CSS property to none. Therefore, the visitor cannot see it. It is not rendered for them. So that's the third option. And finally, the fourth option is to change a specific text in your page. A bit of a note here, this is best used for not changing whole paragraphs of text, but rather simple words and so on. And also, if your page is dynamically loaded as the visitor scrolls, this might not work correctly because at the moment of us trying to attempt to change, the content might not already be loaded. So with those caveats in mind, let's go into the next step. And once again, what I might want to do here is let's keep the segments as they are, but now this says content replacing, and I need to define the rules. So what I might want to do is now change the address as I was showing you. So let's just change the street name. So if I go into GeoTargetly, and for US, I want to change this to US street name. I add it, and for Canada, sorry, not location rule, but the, this rule. So I want to change this to CA street name. And as you can see, basically you can have as many of these rules defined as you want, and you can then also edit them or move them up and down because they get executed one by one. So if, for example, I had a second change of this specific text over here defined, it would first be changed to the first one and then to the second one. Cool. So this is all that needs to be done right now. Let's go into next and save the setup. Once again, no need to, if you previously had GeoContent implemented, this does not change. The only thing that changes is the setup in step 2. And now we're still in Canada. So if I refresh the page, I no longer see the original street name, but CA street name. And quickly, if we go to USA, and we refresh the page, once again, sorry about this, that's the VPN, you see that I'm getting a US street name, which is the success because that's what we wanted to do. Perfect. Let's take a look at what else is interesting about GeoContent, because there are 2 or 3 things that I haven't yet described. The first being the advanced options. Basically, what might be the case is that for some of your, for some locales, you normally want to do the content change, but let's say that you have colleagues or specific clients in that locale that you do not want to run the content change for. What you can do is in the advanced settings, you can click on disable GeoContent with the URL query parameter, and you need to define that parameter. So this would be, for example, content equals off. You can choose whatever parameter you want. And if I save right now, what I can do is go back to the page, and still we're using the US location and the change is happening. But if I go to the same page and if I use the query parameter, which is defined by question mark, and I define it as content of, what you can see is that even though I am in US, I'm no longer getting the content change. So this is best used for internal testing or sharing it with your colleagues or specific clients. Furthermore, what you can do is so that colleague or client does not need to use the URL parameter every time they go into the page. You can click this option or this option, which means that if they enter the page with this parameter in the URL, it will be the same case and they will not receive the content change for a specified amount of hours since then or within the same browser session. Also, if you then turn this off and hit save, and if you refresh the page, you should be getting the content change, which you can see is happening. Finally, one more thing that I wanted to show you, or 2 more things, there's always one more thing, is the test mode. So up until now, what I've been doing is I've been using VPN because that was the fastest, but a more reliable way to test geotargetly or to simulate traffic coming in from different locations so that you can see with your own eyes whether the content is being triggered is our test mode. When it comes to test mode, what you need to do is you need to provide your IP address over here, and then provide the location that you wanna test for, turn it on, and hit save. There needs to be an IP address, but I don't want to put in my IP address because that's a privacy risk. So if I were to put an IP address over here and save it, then what would happen is I would see the page as if coming from that specific location. The reason why this is better than a VPN, it's free as long as you have a GeoTargetly account. You do not need to pay for a VPN, but also it's a bit more precise because for the test mode we're using the exact same data as for the feature, as for GeoContent. So there's no difference in like what the VPN thinks it simulates versus what GeoTargetly perceives it as, but it's really the same data used there. Cool. One last thing is the analytics. And what you can see over here is how many times your tracking code was triggered on your page. And as you can see, basically what I'm seeing is that how many times the code was triggered in total and how many of those were hit targets, meaning visitors from those location segments that you run the content change for. And as you can see, if you open the US and CA over here, you can see like each of the location segments that are defined, how many page views they consumed, which is pretty neat because you can really see how much traffic is triggering the content changes for each location segment. Also, every hit or every triggering of the tracking code constitutes 1 page view. And if you ask what a page view is, let's just exit right now. If you go into the subscription tab, the page view is a single triggering of your GeoTargetly code. And basically, when you subscribe for GeoTargetly, you're purchasing page view quota. For example, on the dev plan, on a monthly one, you purchase 1,000 page views in a month, or on a growth plan for a year, you're purchasing 1.2 million page views. And each triggering of the code subtracts 1 page view from that quota. And as you can see today, during the testing of the GeoContent, I already consumed 66 page views. Cool, so that's that, and now it's on to troubleshooting and resources. So let's say that you defined everything, but you can't get your GeoContent to trigger on your page. Basically, what I recommend then is testing either via the test mode or the VPN, as I already showed you, but there's one more trick that I want to share with you, which is if you go into the page on which the GeoContent is implemented, you can check whether the tracking code itself was correctly implemented. And the way you do that is you go into, once again, inspect or developer tools, you go into network, and into network, into the search bar in the network tab, you will type GC question mark. I'll explain why in a second. And if I hit refresh, basically there should be a hit or custom code being triggered, and the status code of the code should be 200 or OK. And the code, as you can see, contains GC, and then let's remember OQ3W. And basically, you can see whether this is a GeoTargetly code by going into your specific setup. And in the code, you can find the same element. So it's GC question mark. That's why we chose GC question mark, and then we remembered OQ3W, so you can not only tell whether the GeoTargetly tracking code is being triggered in general, but you can also say which specific code is being triggered, because this is a unique identifier of a setup. So if you have more than one setup running on a page, so let's say one is triggering redirections with our GeoRedirect feature and another is triggering GeoContent content changes, you can pinpoint which one is being triggered on that page. Perfect. That's pretty much all when it comes to how it works, how to set it up, but I also want to share with you our resources. So if you go into our page, and on the page, yes, over here under resources and docs, you will get to our kind of knowledge hub. And for GeoContent, you can either choose docs or quick start guide. And basically, if you choose docs, this is the page that you're going to get to, which is our knowledge base. And you can see all of the definitions over here and very detailed description of how to implement it. And as I said, also very detailed description of how to implement it for each content software management tool. Sorry, CMS. If you want a different kind of walkthrough of how to implement it, not just video as I'm delivering right now, but let's say you want to do it at your own pace, if you go to Quick Start Guide, this is where you will get, and we have 4 Quick Start Guide in a slideshow format, each walking you in a detailed fashion through, how to add the content, GeoContent, and how to define location, and pretty much they walk you through everything that I've been walking you through in this video. If even after checking this video, the docs and the guides, you're not able to work it out, you can get in touch with us with our support. And basically there are 2 ways to do that. If you're reaching out in the work hours during the Central European time zone, you can reach us via support chat. You just ask a question which will first connect you with an AI agent and then with a person. And if this is not available in your time zone, you can write us an email at support@geotargetly.com. We're pretty responsive. Usually we respond in a couple of hours. Finally, if when you're trying to set up GeoContent, the application itself or the feature itself looks a bit different from what I was showing in this video, it might be due to the fact that we implemented a new version of GeoContent, because we try to be very regular with our releases. And if you go into over here in the footer and click on the roadmap, it will get you to our updates page or roadmap page, and you can see all the updates that we've been pushing recently. So you can reconcile, like, hey, if this is different, it's most likely because there's a new version, and you can learn about the new version from over here. For example, the content hiding, the content replacing, and URL parameter disabling was released in April. We are at the first half of May right now. So GeoContent got some power-ups recently. Perfect. If you have any more questions, either reach out to us via support, as I already mentioned, or type a question down in the comments. And with that, the only thing that remains for me to say is thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll have a great day.